Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this video finds you, I hope you're having a rad time. I'm the Figure Dude, and on today's action figure showcase, we're going to take a look at every championship belt in my collection. Without further ado, let's talk about some figures. Dude. Welcome back. Like I said, today I'm going to take a look at all the different championships in my collection, and there are so many, so I'm not going to be going over like small differences. So for some WWF winged eagle belts, sometimes the blue sphere or blue earth on those is more blue, sometimes it's black. Like small color changes I'm not going to go over. There are plenty in my collection where I'm just going to look at the different iterations. There's a few that are like stylistically different, so we've got like different size and different plate, like matte versus shiny plates on belts with the Undisputed Championship or World Heavyweight belt. So I've got a couple of those in here, but for the most part, I'm just going to go through everything I have. And the championship belts have always been one of my favorite things about collecting. So with the way Mattel has been knocking out new ones left and right has been really, really exciting. I used to collect in the Jakks days, and for the most part, I had like the Winged Eagle belt, the tag team belts, intercontinental belts. I might have had the light heavyweight championship, which is one Mattel hasn't gotten to, but I really didn't have as many the way we do now. And obviously most of them, especially with elites, are all painted and colored correctly for the most part. So it's one of my favorite pieces of my collection. But I know a lot of people are also really into the championship, so I wanted to go through mine. First one we have today is actually a custom. So I have talked before about Chaos Wrestling Club on Instagram. He makes some fantastic 3D belts, and he is my go-to if I'm going to get a custom belt. No, there's other guys that they make good belts as well, but they're a lot more expensive, and I just can't justify paying more than, or like paying $50 for a custom belt I'm gonna put on a figure. I'd much rather just buy like a couple figures. So this right here, the NWA belt, you can see all the detail is in there. I think these are painted really well. And I've talked before, and you'll see I have the World Heavyweight, like the current belt that I painted myself, and I'm nowhere near as good at painting my belts as he is. So here's my NWA Championship, which we are going to be getting relatively soon from Mattel. They're going to be making the NWA belt with the new Territories, Legends of the Territories, I think it's called, 4-pack. And it's going to come with Harley Race, so it'll be exciting to pick that up in its official form. But for now, here's my NWA Championship. Next up is another set of custom belts, and these are the NWA World Wrestling Champion or Tag Team Championship belts, which are customs as well. So these ones are from M&M Figure Clothing, and his are a little bit different. So Chaos Wrestling Club, he 3D prints his plates and everything. These are computer printed, like the plate itself, and then they're on hard foam backing. So these I do like as well. I think it looks good. Obviously it's different with the plastic, so it doesn't have like all the detail. It's just flat and whatnot. But I still think that if like, so for these, I didn't necessarily need I didn't have a huge need for NWA tag belts, but I wanted to get some to put on my Legion of Doom figures, and M&M is a much cheaper option. I forget how much. It's been a while since I ordered from him, but I think I'm pretty sure that's where these ones came from. And again, I'm really happy with them. They more than get the job done. I think they look very good. If I could do this myself, I probably would, but same, it's on that like faux kind of leather. And then obviously I have two of them. And while I was sorting out which belts to grab. I realized this might end up being a two-parter. We might go through all the like classic belts today and then get to the modern ones next week, but let's keep trucking and we'll see how we're doing. All right, next we have the Hogan belts, the original WWE WWF belts, and I think I've got this order down correctly, but we will see. So I think originally the belt that Hogan won was this large belt. This is the one that came with the Coliseum collection. And this one, I believe, is inaccurate. It's got the black strap, and I believe it was supposed to have the green strap here. So with the green strap one, that is what I believe this is what he won from Iron Sheik. This one was just paying homage to the original Hogan that we got, or the Coliseum collection Hogan, which is, like that belt is just what came with that figure, which I think was inaccurate at the time. I'm pretty sure that was the story. So this one came in the 4-pack that really is floating around Ollie's. It was Target exclusive, and they just gave us the correct version of it. So they made it green. They updated it there, which is probably close to the only reason I picked up that 4-pack. Then I think this is the next one. So this one came with his Defining Moments figure from WrestleMania 1, I think that was. And so I'm pretty sure Hogan is the only one that held these versions. So I've got a bunch of these because I bought a few different Defining Moments Hogans. But this is another one, which I don't love this design. I don't like how it's kind of like oval shaped. I prefer the like circle, or I think it's because I was an Attitude Era baby. That's what I grew up with. But the other two we have here are, let's see, I think it was this one comes next. This is the one that came with his figure that was with, in the Ultimate Edition wave with Mr. T. I think he is the only, I'm sure, he's the only one who held this belt. And he had a different belt for like 85, 86, and 87, I want to say. And then, so this, I could be completely wrong on my belt lineage here. I'm pretty sure this one's got the silver on it, and I think of the Hogan belts, this is probably my second favorite. Just the silver and black is a little bit different. And then this is the last one before the Winged Eagle that I know and love, but this is a pretty close representation to that. Like, it wasn't as big of a change. It's obviously, this one came with Andre the Giant. It's got the gold and silver in there, but it's huge because it came with Andre. So this is one thing that Mattel started doing on some, is actually like putting that strap on the end, which is really cool. But it's a gigantic belt. But those are all of the Hogan belts before we got to the Winged Eagle that he would hold forever. So there's some classic stuff. Next up, for the most part, this is going to be in like a chronological order. There's going to be some stuff I moved around because it floated between eras, but for the most part, we're going to get, I have about everything. I don't think I'm missing anything from Mattel. Maybe like one or two. I don't have the Smoking Skull belt, which is extremely disappointing. But first here, we've got the Silver World Tag Team Championship belt, and I only have one of these. I only bought one Brutus Beefcake figure. I bought it off eBay, so I do need to track down one more of these silver belts, but we have these World Tag belt, this design for quite a while. It was, I think initially it was silver before it became the gold look that we had for like all through the Attitude Era, had for a long time. But this is, it's cool. I love that we're getting the like deeper cut stuff from Mattel. The next one we have here, so I've got a few different iterations. So we've got the Winged Eagle. So this one came with an Ultimate Warrior in the light blue teal-ish, seafoam blue maybe. Then we've got a white one that came with the No Holds Barred Hogan. And then we've got the classic here, the black, which I don't think that's going to stay up there. So this is the classic version, obviously. But like when I think of this belt, I think of Bret Hart. even though Hogan held it forever, obviously. But I've got a ton of these. Like I said, I didn't put any doubles. I could do a showcase just on the Winged Eagle belts that I have. But that is what I grew up, like I had so many of those from Jack's, was the Winged Eagle. I don't know if I ever had the Attitude Era one. I think that one was kind of hard to track down. And while I collected, I wasn't financially able to collect the way I do now. So a little bit more difficult. Then next up, we have the Classic Intercontinental Championship. So we've got the yellow version from WrestleMania with Ultimate Warrior when he defeated Hulk Hogan, as well as the normal black one. And then that one came with the Razor Ramon WrestleMania 10 set that we just got. So you can see here, you can see how the paint is different. So this one, like the blue's all filled in. This one is not quite all filled in. It looks way different. We don't even have the same continents in here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that's accurate. Pretty sure that's Africa in the middle there, and that is definitely not in the middle here. So we've got those Intercontinental belts, and we've got the white version, but I put that with the like PG era of my belt here. So we've got Golden Era. Moving on. Next up, moving on to the Attitude Era. These are some of the belts that I love the most. This is what I grew up with. So we've got the tag belts like I was talking about. So here's the gold version. And really, like, the tag belts were always around in the Attitude Era, but until the Hardys and Dudleys and Edge and Christian came around, I feel like they were just kind of items that were thrown around. But the design is such a classic design, and that's what I really like. The modern designs for belts, which we're kind of seeing a change with some of, like, a minor change with them, with some of the newer belts that we've gotten. But this is what I prefer. It looks prestigious. I really like the just the design of all of these older belts, and I think Mattel does a great job in figure form. See, this one doesn't have, like, most of them don't have that strap on them, which I really hope Mattel starts adding more. But we've gotten a few different versions of this. There's one, like these ones I believe I got with the APA figures, or I could be wrong. I think they came with the Legends APA figures. I've got a lot of them, but these ones are more of a, like, yellowish gold, where the like some other versions we've got are just less vibrant, like more of a faded gold. So didn't put them both in here. Like I said, I got a lot to get through, but there's the World Tag Belts. Who do we have next here? We can grab this one, which is different because it is all completely molded. It is the Hardcore belt. I think if they did a plate of this, it would be very hard. It'd be a lot harder to get it all to stay on, just because it's supposed to look like it's been beat to absolute crap, which is awesome. I loved the Hardcore belt back in the day. It's obviously, like, the plate base is the Winged Eagle, but it's all falling apart. So I thought it was cool that they still, like, acknowledged that the Winged Eagle was there, but it was the Hardcore belt that, I mean, everyone who was a mid-carder, I feel like, held in the Attitude Era. So I would like to see them try giving us, like, a normal plate like all of their other figures. Jax kind of did it with the, like, they made just, I'm pretty sure I had that, or maybe I made my own. I could be completely wrong, but Hardcore Championship here, huge fan of. Another mid-card belt that we had in the Attitude Era was the European Championship, which was always just, like, for me, I always think of mid-card champions being Intercontinental Champion. The Intercontinental Championship, for me personally, it was always the prestigious one. Even though in the Attitude Era, really, they swapped around the belt. It just, I don't know. It felt, as a young wrestling fan, it felt like a big deal, but going back, it kind of just hopped around. And the European Championship was one of those. I always think of D'Lo Brown. He would always say he was from a different European city when he was announced. I thought he was funny. A lot of people did a lot of comical things in the mid-card with the European Championship, but This was one I did have in Jack's form. I love that it is colored. I have a bunch of these ones, and I think for the most part, that's one that has been, they haven't strayed too far from on the design, like paint-wise and everything. So again, I've got the Intercontinental Championship, but I do have that with my Ruthless Aggression set. So we'll get to that one. So Attitude Era, I threw the European Championship in here. The last one we're going to take a look at for the Attitude Era is going to be the classic oval or circle WWE Championship, WWF Championship. So this is the first one. I believe this was the first version that Stone Cold came out with on Raw after winning the title, and it's got the like purplish bluish hue to it. That's what I had as a kid. Like I had the foam belt version of this, and I never really realized that it wasn't just navy. Like I had a navy blue version, so I was excited when we got this. I think we got this with the ringside exclusive Kane, or maybe we got this with Best of Attitude Era Stone Cold. I can't remember now. Maybe that's the one it came with the Stone Cold University shirt. But then this is one of the examples I wanted to show where we get the shiny plate with the black strap as well as the non-shiny plate. And I tend to like these. I think that I don't know what it is. I just feel like this gold better captures the look than the shiny. So I don't like have a massive preference, but this is kind of like, I think that looks more accurate. So I know everyone has their different opinions. I don't think any of them are wrong. I could probably be persuaded to either side, but there's my Attitude Era Championship. Going through, I have decided to split this into two parts because I've got my ECW and WCW belts coming up, and then I've got my Ruthless Aggression belts. And the further along the line we get, the more belts I have. So we are going to wrap up today with Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression, which is probably in general my favorite era of belts. But ECW, we've actually gotten some Mattel releases. So here's the ECW belt, which I believe is the WWE ECW version. I forget exactly. I've seen people discuss it. I posted on my shelf just in my ECW collection, but the ECW belt was brought back briefly like this with during the Ruthless Aggression era, and then we've gotten it with like Terry Funk, and then did we get one with Rob Van Dam? I can't remember where else we've gotten it, but I always really like the ECW belts because they've got a different feel to them. I really liked them. That's the World Heavyweight belt. We've also gotten the Television Championship here, which came with Bam Bam Bigelow, but I think of Rob Van Dam. I don't think anyone else on my shelf should have this belt. I oppose it with Rob Van Dam. I always thought, I say always, as long as I remember, I really liked the belt design for these, and I think it was just because I was a sucker for belts. So it's different. It's not uniform the way they all are now, where they all just kind of look the same, other than like some of the newer stuff we've been getting just recently. But this TV title looks sweet. And then the last one for ECW. So I don't have the tag belts that we're getting with the new Rob Van Dam Defining Moments that's coming and the Cactus Jack ringside exclusive. I didn't pick up that that Cactus Jack, and I haven't gotten the RVD. So I need to pick those up. But I do have another custom belt from Chaos Wrestling Club. This is the FTW Championship, and we did just get that with Jazzwares, which I'll have in part 2 when I'll go through all my Jazzwares stuff. So I've got a bunch of custom belts for my modern stuff too. So this FTW Championship served me very well. I had put this one on my Taz figure, and then the newer one I just put on the hook because again, like the way this is painted, it's got the flat gold instead of the super shiny, which they have on the Jazzware. So this is kind of what I prefer, especially for this belt. So that is it for ECW. Next up for WCW, they have been going to town on WCW belts, which is it's about time. I'm really glad they have gotten around to it. First one I've got for you guys here is the NWO World Heavyweight Championship, which we've gotten this one, which I have a bunch of. I don't know what figure I was buying that had all of these, but I've got like 5 of these NWO belts. We've gotten one that has red spray paint, which I can't find. It's somewhere, but that one I believe came with the ringside exclusive Kevin Nash, which I think it's cool. But on my shelf, I have limited amount of characters that I put this belt with, so maybe I'll just do a giveaway and give you guys a chance to get a few of those. But NWO belt, I in general have so many of that World Heavyweight belt, so the NWO spray paint on it I think is cool. I do think it could be done a little better. I think I'd prefer the spray paint on the like flatter gold, but that's just me being picky. Next up, so I realize these aren't in order, I'm just grabbing from my WCW pile. So we've got the World Tag Championships, which these ones are the darker blue. I forget, oh, I think they came with Stone Cold, or not Stone Cold, Stunning Steve Austin is part of the Hollywood Blondes, so we've got him and Brian Pillman. So I picked up 2 of the Stunning Steves to get both belts, and these have the darker blue on the world, on the belt. You can see it does say WCW there. And again, this just follows the like classic look for belts. This is what I grew up with and love the most. But these ones are different. So we got these, and then besides those tag belts, we got these ones as well, which are different. These are the like 2000s. I think these are the WCW belts that they had in WWE. Like the tail end of WCW during the invasion, these were the belts that they had. So I actually have these on my shelf with Undertaker and Kane, or I've posed them with Chronic as well. But we got these. Gosh, when did we get this one? I'm completely blanking. Maybe did we get this with Undertaker? With SummerSlam Undertaker? And I cannot remember. I cannot think of it now. But slight iteration. It is a pretty big difference. We've got like the black wrapping around there. So both versions of those WCW championships. Here is the original WCW championship that came with the Ron Simmons Elite figure, the Hall of Champions Elite, I believe, which that's one I would love to get in the greatest hits or get a re-release in the Legends line, is the Ron Simmons. I'd love to get that with double jointed arms and some pinless legs, true effects, which might have true effects on the head sculpt, but some pink or some purple tights. That is high on my list of reorders, or re-releases. And I really like this WCW belt. Not what I think of when I think of WCW, but it looks beautiful on my Ron Simmons. So next up, we've got the television title that came with the Stunning Steve and Elite 100, I believe. So that is in the red and silver, which I'm pretty sure the one that Stunning Steve held was the black and silver. But getting the red version here, I'm not upset with. It pops. Obviously, we do. We get some more belts with red on them. I'll bring it a little closer. You can kind of see the letters with the glare off of it. But there, that's the one we got. Here's the TV championship we got with Stunning Steve. And then here is the TV championship we got with... Who did that come with? Ricky Steamboat? Maybe? Did it come with the Ricky Steamboat Elite we got recently? I posed it on my shelf with one of my Booker T customs, I'm pretty sure. This one kind of reminds me of the new world. I know the World Heavyweight Championship now is based off of the OG Big Gold, but I really get a big vibe of it with the texture of this one. And then let's see, what are we going to wrap up with? So we've got the United States Championship, and I've got a few of these. I think I just keep it on my Goldberg figure, maybe a Scott Steiner. Can't remember. I always thought that this is the best United States Championship design. I love this one. I know that the Ruthless Aggression one is more nostalgic for me. That's what I grew up with, but I've always thought this one looked really cool. And it was in WWE briefly before they dissolved it and just merged it into the Intercontinental Championship, but I always love this one. It is kind of big too. Like, so here's the Cruiserweight belt that we're going to take a look at last, but this belt is huge, which I doesn't upset me. I think it looks awesome. But then we've got the Cruiserweight Championship, which we are going to get another one with Eddie Guerrero, but this is the WCW version, which we did not originally get. We would just get the WWE version. Obviously on the side it says WCW. There's a little more color to it with the blue and red. Blue in the middle. I don't think there's red on the WWE version, but a bunch of belts for WCW. Moving on to Ruthless Aggression Era. Alright, so finishing the first part of our video is going to be Ruthless Aggression, and there's just so much in here that I love because it took a spin on stuff from the Attitude Era and just changed it up a little bit. So first one is going to be these World Tag Belts. So these were exclusive to SmackDown, and they were just they were brought back, so they had like the World Championship belts, I'm pretty sure, and then once they had the brand split, they needed belts. So these were the SmackDown versions. They were just the WWE Championships, and you can see the like the clear. It's essentially the same thing. They just took it out, made it all blue design, and that was what we had on SmackDown. I always thought it was cool that they just like updated them a little bit for SmackDown, because then on Raw they had the World Heavyweight belts, which were more more like the World Heavyweight belt, no pun intended, but these ones were red, so I thought it was very fitting. I thought it was cool when they like made the Undisputed Championships as well, but both sets of these belts are super nostalgic for me. Even though like the actual tag teams during the era that held the belts were kind of random, like we had like Rey Mysterio and RVD were champions with the SmackDown belts. Kane and Undertaker were champions with these belts, but I love this belt design. I think those are in their entirety are probably my favorite tag belts with both sets, but we have the split now, and maybe I'll feel different about them once I have them in hand looking at them, but this is probably my favorite version of tag belts here. Moving on to the mid-card championships during the Ruthless Aggression Era. So we had here's the Cruiserweight belt that I talked about, and they also made this one really small, so it is the WWE version of it, obviously, which, get this dog hair off there. Whoops. So where'd that Cruiserweight? You can see the difference between the two. The WCW version, I think, looks way better. I think they just like watered it down a little bit. In WWE, which I was fine. I didn't really notice it until I started collecting the belts again. Then we've got the United States Championship, and mine's kind of faded a little bit. I have more that have a little bit more color to them, but this was the one that was most easily accessible. This one was also brought back on SmackDown during the brand split. I think Eddie Guerrero was the original U.S. champion back during the brand split. Then we've got this one, which was a one-off. We've got the John Cena Spinner U.S. title, which I was a massive John Cena fan when he started out, so I thought this belt was so cool. It does spin, not well. I know Mania Figs does a good job updating his spinner belts, really getting them to... Whoa, I think we're upside down here. Getting them to spin, but I always thought this was really cool. Of course, Orlando Jordan got some massive heel heat when he got rid of that. Going from that spinner, we're going to actually go to the Rated R Edge spinner belt. And I've got the normal spinner. I do have that with like the PG belts that I'm going to look at, PG era. So that'll be on the next time. But here's the Rated R Edge, which I know, obviously, this is not the original. It came afterwards. But it's got the spinner on it. Side plates and everything are the same. Oopsie. Here's the Oval Intercontinental Championship, which this is my favorite Intercontinental Champion design. The classic one I think is beautiful, but this is always what I think of. we had a rock stuck behind the side plate there. So I've always loved the Oval Championship. Randy Orton is who I think of with this belt. He held that thing forever, and I think everyone talks about making the Intercontinental belt prestigious, but I think he actually did that when he held this belt. So I've always loved this design. I've always felt like it was an important belt. Here's another example of the dull versus the shiny look for belts. So this is, again, I like this. I wish the red dots were on this one, which I do think I have another version that's flat like this that has the red on them. But whoops, then this one obviously is shiny. And again, this belt was brought back on Raw for the brand split, and Triple H held it forever, which I know a lot of people hated, but I hated Triple H. I couldn't wait for him to lose it, and as far as him being a heel, it worked. So for young me, if I was going back watching that now, I'd probably complain like a lot of people on the internet. But for the time being, I think he did exactly what needed to be done with that belt. It felt massive to me when he did finally lose it at WrestleMania. But then we've got the Women's Championship here, which of course, this belt, it was around for a bit with like during Ruthless Aggression era and a little bit into the PG era, I believe, before they switched to the Divas Championship. Trish and Lita always traded it back. Molly Holly held it, Victoria. But I was excited to finally get this one in figure form. It is small, and I think they did a good job scaling it, which they have started doing a better job with the modern belts, but this one, they got like all the detail in there. They got the black on the side plates. Like they did a good job with this, and I've got a couple of versions of that. I forget who that one came with. I posed it with my Stephanie McMahon. But then the last one I wanted to look at today, which is my all-time favorite belt, is the Undisputed Championship. So here is the one that came with Eddie Guerrero. This is a little bit smaller. It's got the dull coat on it. It actually fits figures. I'll just leave it right there for now. And then we have the Brock Lesnar version, which is gigantic, which I don't know which one is necessarily more accurate. This one is shiny. This is my favorite belt design of all time. This is like the last real classic look that we got for a WWE championship. And then we started getting, like, we got the spinner, which it still kind of had that feel, but it wasn't quite the same. And this is probably forever going to be my favorite. I know they've tried with the World Heavyweight belt, changing it up a little bit, but this thing is gorgeous. It's got 5 side plates, excuse me. Just that middle plate is beautiful, and maybe it's just because I love the Ruthless Aggression era, so I'm biased towards that championship we had during that time, but that was my favorite belt. So move this out of the way. You can kind of see everything we went through today. If you stuck around, I appreciate it. I've got more belts to take a look at, a bunch of custom belts. I've got AEW and New Japan belts next time, as well as all the modern WWE stuff, but that is going to be it for today. I'm going to be moving into the PG era next, like once I get through all the belts in my collection. If you want to go check out some more action figure showcases, we've got a full playlist on the channel. Please continue to like, share, subscribe. I always appreciate it. And remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy more action figures. Figure Dude out.